All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to Showboating Sports, guys. It's your man Scott Free here. Man, we're gonna talk today David, about Caleb Plant calling out David Benavidez, calling him fat boy, and saying he would KO him. So we're gonna talk about that and a few other things that happened today. So you guys stay tuned, but make sure you guys hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell icon if you're new to the channel, and like it, and subscribe to a friend. And also with this right here, as I'm doing these lives, I'm doing like lives and giving you recaps of what's going on throughout the day and some other topics. And I'm also give you guys a chance to call in. I am going to share it on here and get it all out. I am actually using a kind of new program. So like I said, bear with me on this. We're going to put all this in. So I'm just tuning everything in, but glad to see you guys that are here, that's back for the channel. I'm going to put the number up to call in, and I am going to pin it at the top so you guys will always see that. And all right, got it up. You'll see the number 954 408-3312. You guys can call in, remain anonymous, or give your name out if you want some of the smoke. And guess what? Because I'm looking for all the smoke tonight. I'm going to get your thoughts on this and get your thoughts on some other stuff. But so yeah, it's going to be pretty good, man. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing on started. And I'm ready to just put one more little thing up real quick and go ahead and make it happen. So guys, so what are your thoughts on Caleb Plant calling out David Benavidez? I think that Caleb Plant is calling out David Benavidez, and I think it's actually a good fight. I have been wanting them two to fight for quite a while now. It's a lot of fights I'd love to see being made, but it's just getting them out, getting them done, and all that. So I'm just right now, like I said, I'm putting it all in because I'm trying to cross-platform it. I'm sharing it with my YouTube stuff. And I'm going from there. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna just make this last little post, and we're gonna keep on rolling, man. We're gonna keep on rolling. All right, man. And so there we go. So I got it up. We up and going on there, letting everybody know that we're up and we're ready to rock and roll. All right, man. Here we go. So, like I said, guys, had to put it on my YouTube channel and get that up and letting it go because I'm cross-platforming. Got some new stuff to do it. And, yeah. All right, here we go. All right, there we go. So, more my thoughts on this David Benavidez and him calling out David Benavidez. David Benavidez is a really good fighter. I don't think David Benavidez has the same kind of skill sets as Canelo, but I do think that David Benavidez, what he lacks in skills, he makes up in a lot of power. And so I don't think, just off the top of my head, I haven't done a fight breakdown on it, but just off the top of my head, I like Caleb Plant a lot. I think Caleb Plant has a lot of skills. I'm in Tennessee. I'm from Tennessee, and so Caleb Plant fights out of Nashville, Tennessee, which is about 3 hours away from where I'm at. Currently, I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee. So, but anyway, so, I kind of root for hometown people. But in this situation, man, I like David Benavidez. And I can't say that I am going to go against David Benavidez because he's a really good fighter. I like Plant. And really in this match right here, I can honestly say that I'm not really pulling for either fighter as much. I kind of tilt the scales thinking that David Benavidez is going to win, And let me just go into a little bit more of why I think David Benavidez will win that fight is because I think Caleb Plant has a lot of skills, but I don't think he has enough power to stop David Benavidez. David Benavidez he's a tall guy. He should be up in a higher weight class. David Benavidez should be about 175 or light heavyweight, or maybe, man, he could probably even fight at cruiserweight. I'm not sure, but because I don't know what his walk-around weight is, man, but he's a pretty big guy, man, and he has a hard time making a weight at 168. I don't think Caleb Plant has a hard time making a weight. I think that's about as high as Caleb Plant should really try to push. I don't think Caleb Plant's power is going to come out at 175. I think he needs to stay at 168. I think with he's got a lot of skills. I'm not saying he doesn't have any power at all, but I give him his power on a low scale, man. I don't think he had enough power to keep Canelo Alvarez off of him. And I don't think that with those same punches that he hit Canelo with is going to do anything to David Benavidez. I think David Benavidez's chin is really strong. Now, you got to give it to Soul Canelo Alvarez. You got to give it to him, man. The dude's got a lot of skills, man. The dude can straight up fight. He can brawl. But with that fight with Caleb Plant, man, he didn't show a lot of skills. Not saying he couldn't, but he just didn't need it. He walked him down. He let Caleb Plant tire himself out. And I'll tell you this, I like Caleb Plant as a fighter. But really, man, I got to tell you this. Caleb Plant, I lost a little bit of respect for Caleb Plant to be in that ring trying to win the most important fight of his life up to this point, and starts talking to Canelo in the ring saying, oh, I'm pretty good, a lot better than what you thought. Well, you can talk that stuff in the ring if you're going to back it up, but you can't go in there and start talking that stuff to a killer that's walking you down and he's trying to knock you out and get you out of there. Now, you guys had a lot of bad blood, and you know he wasn't going in there to be your friend. And with you talking to him, if you was being sarcastic and which I had Caleb Plant winning all the way up until the later rounds when I start seeing him get tired, but hey, that's just Canelo's game plan. Canelo is a smart fighter, man. I'd say a lot of stuff about Canelo, but I don't ever question his skills. I question his motivation in the fights that he chooses and why he chooses them. But I do think that Canelo Alvarez can fight. He can box. He can bang. He can fight on the outside. He can fight on the inside. The dude is very skillful, man. He's been fighting. I think he turned pro at 15, so he's had a lot of fights for years. So you're not going to just come in there and say, oh, I'm pretty good, ain't I, and think it's going to stop him, because he already had a game plan going in of what he was going to do to Plant. He already knew what it was going to take. He knew Plant was going to go out and box and box and box, but he knew Caleb Plant didn't have a lot of power. It's been said a lot about Caleb Plant's power. So he just knew that with him walking into Caleb backing up, he's going to eventually get tired. He was going to slow down, and then he would be vulnerable. And that's exactly what happened, because a lot of people, including myself, has said that about Caleb Plant. You know, we don't question his skills. He's got a lot of skills. But on the back end and then going towards the championship rounds, he doesn't have that stamina that he needs for those kind of championship fights. You know, the thing about Canelo that you got to understand, the dude has been in so many fights throughout his career. He knows exactly how to suck your energy down. He also knows how to exploit your weaknesses, figure out what you do great, and use that against you. So he knows that automatically. He knows it subconsciously. You're not going to go in there with Canelo Alvarez and do something new that he hasn't seen, you know? Now, I do know there's certain styles that Canelo stays away from, but that ain't what this video is about. This video is about Caleb Plant and David Benavidez. And I'm just saying with that blueprint that Canelo used is going to be the same blueprint that Benavidez used. So why wouldn't he use that? He's going to walk Caleb Plant down, which he is a much bigger body, so he's going to be able to take more punishment. But guess what? David Benavidez is going to give a lot of punishment, man. He's going to give it out. He's going to crank it out. You can best believe that. And guess what? You know, you had Anthony Durrell and David Benavidez when they fought. And Durrell outboxed him. I mean, he did a lot. He did a lot of good moves. He did a lot of things in the ring that I didn't think David Benavidez had a lot of answers for. I actually had Durrell winning. I actually had him winning. I was like, well, he's going to win this. But it was something that I saw in that fight. It looked like when he came out, his face was dry. He didn't have I said, man, his face looks dry. They're not putting a lot of Vaseline on him. He doesn't look Oh, shoot. I know you guys can hear me, but my video, so just give me 1 second. Let me get my video back up and going. All right, we're back. Sorry, guys. But like I was saying, Anthony Durrell, you know, he had a lot of stuff that I had him winning. I had him winning. So yeah, like I said, I had him winning. But towards the end of the rounds, like I said, he looked dry. He looked like he wasn't even hadn't broke up a sweat or whatever else. But then they say, you know, he got cut. They had to stop the fight. And I think don't quote me on that because I can't. It's been a while since I even look back over the fight again, but he lost. Let's just say that. He had a nasty cut. I can't remember if it was stopped or if he was KO'd or whatever. But anyway, David Benavidez won that. And I don't think that with the punches and the things that Anthony Durrell did to him, I don't think that Caleb Plant is going to put more on him than what Anthony Durrell did or what Canelo Alvarez did. I just don't see it, man. I don't. And I mean, that's why, and that's before I just really get into it and do the breakdown. But just off the top of my head, I think it's going to be a really good fight. Now, I don't want to count Caleb Plant out, but I just don't see him winning that fight because I just don't think he's going to have enough to keep Benavidez off of him. I just really don't. But like I said, guys, I got the number on the screen, and we're going to keep on cooking because there was a few other things that happened this week that I would really like to talk about in boxing that happened. Like now we're hearing I did a video yesterday about AJ wanting to fight Deontay Wilder, which is good. You got Rolly coming up. Rolly is saying a lot about Tank and how he feels that he's going to stop Tank and knock Tank out, which is wild and which is crazy. Shakur Stevenson is still that, and the Valdez fight that's coming up. That's going to be a really good fight. He also was talking about how Floyd Mayweather wanted to sign him, and that how Floyd he just didn't want to go that route. So there's so much stuff going on in boxing, and this is I'm so happy to start seeing that this seems like this boxing is kind of making a change just slightly, where it looks like a lot of people are going to start fighting. And when you hear Caleb Plant calling people out, which I think is good, I'm not doubting saying it's impossible for him to win, but with him calling people out like that, I love it. AJ is calling people out. I love that too, because it looks like, I don't know what it is. You guys tell me what your thoughts is on it. You guys put it in the comment section of what you think. I think that after these fighters have been protecting their oath for so long and watching, not saying that they scared, I think they've been kind of moving in a way to whereas they don't take that much of a risk on fights, bigger fights. So I think a lot of fighters are doing that. And I'm not saying that they're consciously going out saying, hey, man, I just definitely don't want to take a risk. But I think that they're kind of gauging it to say, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the risk worth the reward? Is basically what I'm saying. It's like, I don't think Caleb Plant was so quick to fight David Benavidez at first. But when you had Canelo Alvarez come in and challenge him, he's like, hey, I'm risking it all for that. This is going to be the biggest payday I've ever had. Plus, it's for undisputed. So he put it all on the line. He came up short, but it's a lot of boxers come up short to Canelo Alvarez. It's a lot of boxers come up short to a lot of boxers. You know what I mean? You get two fighters in there that are alpha, you know, two fighters out there that's just trying to destroy each other, which all fighters really are trying to do it. But I'm saying you get them trying to fight for the undisputed, like how Canelo Alvarez wanted undisputed. He's going to bring his all. And so you had Caleb Plant going there. He tried it. He failed. So what? But now I think that he's got that O. Now he's ready to go. I mean, now he lost that O. Now he's ready to go out there and go to war. And I'm glad to see him in that position. I said I'm glad he lost because I was hoping he would win. I didn't think that Canelo was going to go down easy, but I was just hoping that that the boxing gods would come in and help Caleb Plant, because I actually was hoping that Canelo took a loss, only because Canelo is dodging other fighters. He's getting these belts and dodging them. He didn't want to fight Benavidez. So it's a lot of other stuff. But like I said, that's for other videos. But right now, I'm just so happy that now that Caleb has lost, which I'm not happy about him losing. I really want him to win. But now that he has lost, I am happy to see him challenging other big fights, for big fights and other big fighters, like the whole Benavidez thing. What does he got to lose? He already done lost once. He doesn't have a belt. And so right now he's got to go in there and make his way, you know? He tasted defeat. He's not liking that defeat, so he's going to bring it his all. So whatever it was that he missed in the Canelo Alvarez fight, I think he'll pick it back up in the David Benavidez fight. I think that he'll go to the gym, make the adjustments, make that kind of stuff. But I think that one of the biggest things is he's going to have to definitely work on his stamina, man. He's got to work on his late round, which I don't think that will make it to a late round. I think David Benavidez is going to keep walking him down, and trying to walk through his shots. So he's going to have to do something and make sure he gets David Benavidez respect, which that dude disrespects everybody in that ring, man. That's a come forward guy, and he just feels in his head he can knock anybody out, and the guy has enough power to put anybody. If you get hit by him with a good, clean shot, you will go down. And I don't think it's a fight that anybody just wants to rush in and do. He doesn't have a belt right now, but he is trying to get another title shot, which should be coming real shortly. I guess the next fight he's got should be a title eliminator. To get him back up there. So that would be a good one, man. I hope that it's real. Just like I hope that AJ fight is real. I'm hoping that these guys make these fights, man, because we the fans and we're being cheated. Anytime you see these fighters that are ducking and dodging and just drawing out these fights, because we always look at it like Canelo should fight Benavidez, but Benavidez should be fighting Caleb Plant and everybody else in his division, just like all the other fighters should be fighting each other. But this is the problem. You guys keep telling these fighters that they're bums and who have they fought, and you keep going hard on these fighters, and that's making them not want to fight. You're making these guys want to hold out, protect their O, because once they lose that O, you're already saying that they're a washed-up fighter before they even lose their O. But then when they lose their O, you're like, oh, man, he's washed up. Who cares? And that ain't how boxing goes, Just because you lost today doesn't mean you're going to lose again. Mayweather got out of there undefeated, but that doesn't mean that everybody else is going to get out and be undefeated, And I don't think fighters should just move their career in a way where their main goal is to stay undefeated, because you got to make sure that you have the good quality fights. Let's say you have a fan base. Let's say a fighter has a fan base, right? Their fan base is going to be loyal to them. Now, you got a lot of blind fans. I think it's a lot of good fighters out there, but it's a lot of fighters that have blind fans who don't hold them accountable. And that's what I'm saying about my channel. I'm holding every fighter accountable. I done been accused of being a Bud hater. I've been accused of hating certain ethnicities of boxers because I'm going harder on a boxer, and it doesn't look like I'm going hard on the black boxers. And man, it's just silliness, because if you go and you look at some of my older videos, I went off on Bud because I felt like Bud wasn't taking the hardest fights. He was over in the UK fighting Green Machine and everybody else and people without a name. And I want to see Bud fight people with a name like Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, Earl Spence. And I know he was reaching for Earl Spence and he was wanting to fight Keith Thurman, but I'm like, you got to secure a fight. You can't keep going out here. But Bud shut my mouth is what I'm saying, is that I gave him a hard time. But when they made the fight with Sean Porter, he stopped Sean Porter. So I can say this, Bud Crawford is what Bud Crawford says he is. You know what I mean? He is my number one pound for pound. Keith Thurman, I gave Keith Thurman a hard time, which I'm still giving Keith Thurman a hard time, is because Keith Thurman was dodging Bud. He dodged Earl Spence, And he wouldn't go get his surgeries and stuff. And I got plenty of videos that says that. But when people don't see those videos because they're not if you're not saying exactly what people want to hear, they don't want to follow you. But I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here about being true to the sport of boxing. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for, I love certain fighters. Certain fighters I like to see fight a little bit more. I like their style. I like their swag. I like how they handle themselves in and out of the ring. So there's all kinds of things that go into a fight. But the thing that I definitely make sure that I look at more than anything is if a fighter is ducking someone. Now, let me say this. You have a fighter out there. I can't say he has to fight every single person out there. That ain't what I'm saying. Because all fighters has one, maybe two fighters throughout their career that a lot of people think they should have fought this guy or they should have fought that guy. They can't fight them all. I get that. Just like every fight you have can't be a title fight. Every fight you have can't be a war. You got to have, it's got to be some highs and some lows in everybody's career. I get that. But if you have actively in your career, like Keith Thurman, I didn't say Keith was a duck artist. He tried to fight Floyd. Floyd didn't want to fight him. But Floyd fought everybody else. You know, he fought the Diego Corraleses. He fought the Cottos. He fought Shane Mosley. He fought Pacquiao. He fought, it's a lot of people he fought. It's a lot of people I would have liked to see him fought and that he didn't fight. Like, I liked he fought Maidana. He fought him twice. He fought Marquez. So Floyd fought a lot of good people, right? And so you have people like Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman has a pretty nice resume. He fought Danny Garcia. He also fought Sean Porter. You all know that. You know, he fought all those people, right? But when Bud came up, I always thought, I was like, Bud is a little bit on the small side, right? So I was like, I want to see him fight Keith Thurman, but I want to see Bud get adjusted. You know what I mean? Because when Bud came in, it was like, he's going to be a little weak. He's going to be a little bit whatever. But I wanted to see the fight. But Keith wasn't trying to make the fight. And I get it. He was like, yeah, let Bud earn his way. Earl was hungry. I think Earl was there a little bit before Crawford. And Earl went and got that Kell Brook belt. So Earl's like, hey, I got a belt. Let's make it happen. Keith Thurman was going all over the world to Nepal and playing the flute and looking for wives and all that kind of stuff, right? But he didn't go get the necessary surgeries he needed to make that fight. But then when the Pacquiao fight came, he jumped on it. Well, he got Josecito Lopez. And it was, it's going to be my get-back year. Man, all that stuff was just ducking. Let me just be honest with you. To me, now what he said was he wasn't 100% to fight Spence, and I get that. Well, go get 100%, Keith. That's what you get paid to do, right? You're the king of the hill, right? At that point, you had mostly all the belts, and everybody else wanted a belt from you, right? But then you lose a belt, then you lose another belt, you get stripped. When you could have easily, when you went and got your elbow surgery, you could have had your hand fixed at the same time. So by the time you came back to fight Pacquiao and them, your elbow would have been fixed and your hand would have already been fixed. You could have had both of them surgeries together. You said your hand's been a problem. I just think that it's true what Hagler said, that when you're sleeping on silk sheets, it's hard to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and start running. You know what I mean? Once you start making money, you start living life, your focus start changing, especially as you start getting older, right? Only very few fighters keep that hunger. And, you know, Floyd Mayweather was one of those people. You know, De La Hoya actually was one of those people too. You know, De La Hoya still went there and took the hard fights and still did this and fought a lot of good hard competition. There's a lot of other fighters too. I don't think because I'm only naming two that I don't recognize a lot more. But at the end of the day, I think that Keith Thurman lost a little bit of love. And that was a fighter who was black. And a lot of people were like, they didn't hear it because it's not what they want to hear. If I say something about Canelo, oh my God, you're tripping. Now I said something about AJ. And man, I dogged AJ for a long time because Wilder kept trying to make that fight. Him and Eddie Hearn said, we'll do it for $50 million. Wilder raised the $50 million, and there you go. AJ went and tried to cherry pick Andy Ruiz, and I was like, get him, Andy, get him. And guess what happened? Andy knocked him down. I was like, get him, Andy, get him, get him. And so Andy won. Now, the problem I have with Andy Ruiz is that you won this fight, man, and immediately you stop training. You start not taking it serious. That's your point. You should have been taking it serious at that point because you had the ball was in your court, man. It was in your court, and you just let it slip through your hands. But anyway, a lot of fighters do that, but you did that on your first fight. You understand what I'm saying? Your first fight, man. But I gave AJ hell, and AJ has ducked Wilder, and then he tried to come back and fight Wilder in between the Fury fight, but Wilder was on this war thing with Fury that he wants to be great. Fury got a draw. He was like, nah, forget the draw. I want to dominate this dude, and I want to beat this dude. I knocked this dude down, and I could, man, hey, take my hat off to Wilder, give him a standing ovation on that one. So now AJ is trying to use that against Wilder, saying, put Wilder's tweet up the other day where Wilder said, hey, he sent a tweet to Tyson Fury in between fights and said, yeah, I was offered more money by Anthony Joshua, but I told you we're going to do the rematch. That's the man of his word. So Anthony Joshua is trying to use that and trying to get some clout when, man, Wilder had been trying to make that fight. I'm not giving AJ a pass on that. And the only reason why AJ right now wants some smoke right now is because he lost and he can't wait on Usyk. He's got to make a move. So what other big payday he's going to get? So he feels like Wilder is vulnerable right now. He's contemplating, he thinks he's contemplating retirement. But nah, man, I think he's going to be mistaken for that because Wilder showed you true grit and true heart. And I don't think AJ is going to be the type of fighter to put Wilder on his back and keep him down because I put Tyson Fury as being a better boxer than AJ. I also put Tyson Fury as being more dirtier boxer. He's going to cheat. So you got a guy who's big, who cheats, and who's going to do what it takes to win. Hey, it's going to be a bad combination. And I don't think that now listen, I'm not saying AJ is or I'm not saying AJ isn't on PEDs or whatever else. I don't know. But I will say a lot of UK fighters over there, it's like the some of the standards is lowered over that way because there's so many fighters is testing positive, and there's certain things that those fighters can get away with that boxers in America can't. There's certain things that they do, and I'm not gonna say everybody over there cheats, but it's a whole lot of people over there toward the UK it is. And I'm not saying it about AJ, but the reason why I brought that up is I'm not saying that in my head that I think AJ hasn't dibble and dabble, or if I haven't had doubts or whatever else. But I think that goes with all fighters, not all fighters, but a lot of fighters. You start thinking, could this dude be messing with something or not? Because you never know when you got a lot of money on the table and people that are competitive. Some people use a competitive edge. A lot of people use a competitive edge, So I can't put that past people, but I will say that I think Tyson Fury is going to go above and beyond to win a fight more than AJ. But I'm glad to see AJ there. I'm glad to see he's challenging or saying he's challenging Wilder. But in a way, I kind of lean towards thinking he's serious because, like I said, what is he going to do? He can't wait on Usyk. He's got to make a move, and he needs to make a move. They all getting up in age, and they don't have a whole lot of wear and tear on their bodies, but they also need to keep their skills sharp, and they're losing a lot of time. Once you make it over 30, and then that time starts flying by, and you start getting in your mid to late 30s, you got to start thinking that somewhere in here, my body might start slowing down. Things might start changing because once you get over 30, your testosterone towards 35 and stuff starts dropping. Your healing factor, your aggression, all this stuff starts changing, and that's biology. Your body goes through changes with age. Father Time is undefeated. Nobody gets past that. Now, there are certain boxers that can slide past that a little bit longer. Wear and tear, genetics. It's a lot of things. And then their style, too, your style. If you're a boxer that relies on all your speed, and you start slowing down a little bit because of age, it affects you, It's a lot of things that affect you. And just not being in the ring and not being hungry and not being in the ring all the time, that kind of affects the way you fight. It kind of affects the way you think and how you approach a fight. So it's good that I see AJ is back out there. So it's good to have these conversations because it's funny to me that when I talk about certain fighters, it's always a fight. It's always some fans that come in that are hardcore fans that love their boxers and don't hold them to that standard. And so that's why I say I want all the smoke on my channel. That's why you see the phone number on the screen. People can call in, or you guys can leave your comments in the comment section because I want to know how you feel about all of this. Do you hold your fighters accountable? Do you hold some of these fighters that I'm talking about accountable? Or do you just look at it like if it's your favorite fighter, it doesn't matter as long as he wins? Are you a fan or are you a groupie? That's the question. That's the thing that we all got to know. And I need to know that from when I'm talking to a person. Because if I'm talking to a groupie, there's nothing I'm going to say to that groupie that's going to make sense to them. They're going to find every excuse they can to make sure their boxer remains on top. And like I said before, Terrence Crawford is my number one pound for pound guy. Period. Earl Spence is my number 2 pound for pound guy. Now, Earl Spence is my number 1 welterweight. And I do have him beating Terrence Crawford. Slightly, but I give the nod to Earl Spence, especially, well, I'll say I give him the nod, and I definitely will see more of how he performs against Ugas. I love what I'm seeing with him. I like to see it seem like the old Earl Spence is back. He seems like he's tuned in, he's dedicated, he's ready, and I'm glad to see all of that. And I can't wait for this Ugas fight because I want to see how Earl approaches this fight. Ugas, they're about the same height. Earl might be a little bit taller, just a hair. But they're so close that they right there at it. I don't think any one of them has a big size advantage. But I'll tell you this, that I can't wait because it'll help me gauge Earl Spence on how he has done, past surgery and mentally. And the reason why I say mentally is because just taking from what Earl Spence said is that when he got in the ring with Danny Garcia, he wasn't 100%, but he was like that in his mind. He heard on one of these interviews, I heard him say that he heard people saying about, about after the wreck, about punches, and if you can take a punch and this and that. He said that he thought about that kind of when he was in there, how it's going to be, take a punch, and he kind of alluded to that, and that kind of made me think that he kind of, I ain't going to say had doubts, but he was a little bit reserved of it. But then Danny Garcia, I think it was like after the 10th round, the bell rung and Danny hit him, and Earl got hit on the chin, late hit, but Earl looked at the camera and was like, brushed it off like, that was nothing. And that let me know right there, Earl was like, okay. And then when it was over with, Earl said, he wasn't 100% ready, but then right before the Pacquiao fight, when he was ready for the Pacquiao fight, he said, I'm sharp now. I'm on point. I wasn't on point with Danny, but I'm on point now. And I'm like, damn, you wasn't on point with Danny, but you on point now. That's good. I like it. I love it. So that's a good thing. But so now I'm glad to see Earl Spence is back. I love it. Man, I am. I'm happy to see Earl Spence back, and I'm glad to see that he's not doing a fat camp this time. But like I said, I hold my fighters accountable. I said all that earlier to say that I kind of favor Earl Spence because I like Earl Spence as a fighter. I like what he does in the ring. I definitely like how he carries himself on certain issues in life outside the ring. Like his stance on Gucci when they were putting up blackface and all that. I like his stance on that. And the lady from Gucci reached out to him and was like, hey, you want to come through and look at that? He said, hey, man, nah, I ain't even interested. And I like that. De La Hoya extended his hand to Earl Spence and was like, hey, man, if you ever want to come fight for Golden Boy, he was like, nah, you don't treat your black fighters right. Earl stands up for what he believes in, and I appreciate that. You know what I mean? The dude stands on his square, and I like that about Earl Spence. And so I like him as a fighter, and I like him because he's done everything that he said he was going to do. He said, hey, I'm going to clean up my side of the street, and then I'm going after Bud. And you know what? I'm not going to knock that man, and I'm not going to say nothing different. And I know I hear a lot of Terrence Crawford fans that I bump heads with. We go back and forth because I love it. I love going back and forth with the Terrence Crawford fans. But they're so fixated on Earl Spence is ducking it. And I asked one guy, I said, so what should Earl do? Should Earl back out of the Ugas fight just to fight Bud? And this dude said, yeah. I said, what? Yeah, I think he should. I think he should go fight Bud first, then go back to Ugas. I said, so you think he should call off a fight where he's going to get a belt and he's definitely A-side under his same promotional company, doing the same thing he said he would do on ES News a few years ago with him and Terrence Crawford was face-to-face. He's like, I'm going to clear up my side of the street, meaning with my promoter. You want him to leave that fight, go fight Bud, and then come back and fight Ugas. He said, yeah, I knew I wasn't talking to a fan. I was talking to a groupie at that point. You know what I mean? He's straight up groupie. So I was like, okay, man, all right. You know, I don't know if he's playing or not. He could be playing or not. But, you know, we all harass each other and all that stuff, which is cool. But anyway, man, but that's what I'm saying. Earl Spence, as long as, and I hope he gets past Ugas, because there's no such thing as a done deal until it's done. You know, you can't assume he's going to win. I favor Earl. I think Earl's going to win, but we don't know that until the end of the fight, you know. And so I don't think any of us can say that. So we'll just see what he does after that point. It's just like the Chris Colbert fight. Chris Colbert thought he was going to win, and what happened? He overlooked this guy, and he lost. And Chris Colbert should have won. But anyway, he lost, you know. So I give Earl Spence the benefit of the doubt, but what I was saying earlier is Earl Spence is the fighter I like a little bit more. But if he decides and he gets past Ugas to start tiptoeing around and, oh, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go do that, and decide he doesn't want to fight Bud, then trust me, you'll hear me say that about Earl Spence. And Earl Spence is really almost one of my favorite fighters. Now, I like Ennis. I like Bud. I'm a fan of Bud, too. I'm a fan of Ennis. I'm a fan of Josh Taylor. I'm a fan of Ortiz. I'm a fan of Benavidez. I'm a fan of Chocolito. I'm a fan of so many great fighters out there. You know, it's so many great fighters out there. I can't just pick one. I like Brian Castano. I like both Charlos. I like them all. I like, it's just so many of them that I like. But now when they fight one that I really like a little bit more, I'll say it. But at the end of the day, I will hold all fighters accountable. You know, all these fighters are accountable. And the only reason why I use Earl Spence is because I know on here Earl Spence is right now in the driver's seat. He's holding all the belts. And if he gets past Ugas, he'll be one fight away from undisputed. So that's why I'm putting him front and center. You know what I mean? And it's like the same way I'm holding Kambosos accountable. You said you want to fight Haney, then fight Haney. I try to hold Loma accountable. Well, I did. And Loma dodged him. He requested franchise. So I gave Loma hell. T.O. won the belts. I gave T.O. hell. T.O. dodged him. You know what I mean? Now T.O. getting back, and I could care less if T.O. win or lose. T.O., you was in the driver's seat. You didn't take it serious. You tried to cherry pick Kambosos, and you didn't have to take that mandatory right off, but you thought, I'm going to go take this mandatory and then dodge Devin Haney when you should have fought Devin Haney. And the reason why you should have fought Devin Haney, because it would have came with a bigger payday, right? And you would have took the fight more serious. And you would have fought the dude harder because you would have trained harder because you knew the threat was harder. Not saying that Kambosos wasn't going to be a hard fight or you thought it was going to be an easy win, but you thought Kambosos would be a harder fight be an easier fight than Devin Haney. You thought that mandatory, you was going to go get by the mandatory, keep talking stuff, but you didn't train like you should have trained. So you saying you can't make the weight, you're going to go up to 140. Okay, we'll go see what you do at 140, man. We already know you have problems with taller fighters. So when you get up to 140, you're going to have taller fighters in there. So you can't pick and choose until you get a belt. You know what I mean? And Josh Taylor said he wasn't going to fight you until you came up with a belt, but you lost your belt. So I'm not going to cry for T.O. I ain't crying for Keith Thurman. I ain't crying for AJ. Man, them dudes was holding up the sport. They all was holding up the sport. They all was ducking. And now that they all done took a O, and now they back out there trying to get back into it. So I'm not crying for AJ. I like to see him get a shot. I love to see him fight Wilder because it's a fight I wanted to see. But I was happy when Andy Ruiz put him down on the mat. You know what I'm saying? I was definitely happy about that. So, Keith Thurman. Okay, I was happy Pacquiao put him down. Now, I normally go for American fighters, but I pulled for Pacquiao that night. You know why? Because I wanted Keith Thurman to lose because Keith Thurman was holding up the division. And now he wants to fight Earl Spence, and Earl Spence is like, hey, man, I'm not worried about Keith Thurman. And I ain't even mad at him for that. I ain't mad at him for that because it was clear what Keith Thurman was doing. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, give me your thoughts in the comment section, man. And let me know what you guys think about all these subjects. But that's kind of like the recap of what went on this week. Some of the fights being made, some of the talks. They're still talking about, oh, yeah, something else. They're still talking about maybe suspending, not sanctioning a fight with Canelo Alvarez and Bivol, which I hope they don't because Canelo is dodging people. So I don't care. I hope they don't. You know what I'm saying? So hey, you know what I mean? So everybody else is going against Russia. Everybody else is putting sanctions up on Russia, but not Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, I want this check. But you try so hard not to fight these other guys. You know what I mean? So there's so many boxers out there, and there's so much stuff that's going on that, you know, I think all these boxers, like I said earlier, need to be held accountable. And so I hope that the Bivol fight is not sanctioned. That'll fix them. That'll make them get back for that. Or I hope Bivol win. I hope that Canelo Alvarez ends up with in the same boat as Keith Thurman and Tio and Loma. Even though Loma almost got a second chance again because he won a fight and they was going to put him right back in there with Kambosos. But hey, it happens, man. But if you're holding up the sport and you out here dodging people and ducking and dodging people, that people have fought in the amateurs. They have sacrificed so much to make it to pros, and now they're in pros. They looking for those title shots. They want an opportunity to be considered the best, to go down in the Hall of Fame, make money, feed their family, and retire. And you playing games with these people when you start dodging. I can see if it's one person, but when you dodging three, I got a problem with that. I have a real problem with that. And something else that happened in boxing is we talked about the Canelo Alvarez. And the last thing I think we'll talk about is, you know what? I guess that's pretty much it. Chocolatito, he won, which was a good thing. They saying that he might move up and fight Anui, which I hope he fights. I hope Chocolatito knocks him out and wins. They're also saying that George Kambosos might be fighting Devin Haney June the 4th. Also, Lou DiBella put it up that can't wait for June or something like that. And it kind of alluded to that it might be a fight happening in June that Eddie Hearn says. So I'm only thinking it could be tying Devin Haney in, which would be nice. I'd like to see that fight, see the outcome of that. The Valdez fight is coming up. So that's pretty much what's been going on. Jamal Charlo is supposed to be fighting Jaime Munguia, which should be a good fight. I'm glad to see that fight. But I haven't seen anything concrete yet. As soon as I get anything concrete, I'll let you guys know. I'll do a video on it. And then, like I said, as some of these other fights get closer to the fight date, we'll start doing some breakdowns and start talking about it a little bit more. But other than that, it's been a pretty good week, man. And I'm glad that boxing is kind of seems like it's taking a turn for the better. But anyway, guys, that's straight up no chaser. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel, man. Support the channel, man. Like, subscribe with it. If you don't like it, I don't like it. I don't care. I take all the smoke. But every night, Monday through Friday, East Coast time, we'll be going on at 10 o'clock. We'll do like a little recap throughout the day, or if it's a big story going on, we'll talk about that. Also, I'll have the number in on the screen where you guys can call in. You can call in and give some of your smoke because I want all the smoke. But you guys can call in. You can tell me your thoughts on it, or you can put it down in the comment section, right down on bottom. Put it in on there. So until Monday, we will be shooting out some other videos over the weekend. But until Monday, we'll be doing our lives come Monday night at 10. But you know what? It just depends. Sometimes I've had people that hit me up that's on Facebook because I do a lot of, man, I'll tell you guys what, a lot of times you guys don't see me doing videos and stuff. I know you guys like, hey, man, sometimes he's on, sometimes he's not. A lot of times, man, I'm in these groups on Facebook, and we just getting at it. Like I told you, I'm a big boxing fanatic. So I'm on other people's channels. I'm in their message groups. I'm in there debating with people. I'm in boxing groups on Facebook. I'm in like 7 or 8 different boxing groups on Facebook. And all day, every day, it's debate after debate after debate. And I've been hit up by so many boxing groups. Hey, man, come on over to my group, man. We love the back and forth. We love all that. And so I got 1 or 2 groups that I kind of start trying to narrow it down to. Iron Fist Boxing. That's a really good group, man. That I'm in there arguing with people all the time. Boxing Connection. I mean, it's just so many other ones in there, man. But it's like about 2 or 3 of them in there. I'm in there a little bit. And it gets heated. I like the passion that a lot of people have. And so when you guys don't see me doing a lot of videos, a lot of times I'm over there letting a lot of energy go on some of those other sites. So we're going to start trying to bring things back. But I hear people now that's in the Facebook groups are finding out that I do have a boxing channel. Some of them are coming over, checking out some of my older videos. And some of them have been telling me, hey, man, when you do a video about this, let me know. I'd like to get your thoughts on this. So I've been getting a lot of that here lately. So I might be doing some videos this weekend over that, or I might be doing some videos, or I might do another live or whatever else, because a lot of people have been missing this, because my channel, without me doing so much activity on there, I'm not hitting a lot of the algorithms and not hitting a lot of algorithms. So a lot of people don't even know that I'm on live. So I'm missing out a lot of stuff. And when I share it to other people, once the live ends, they go, man, I didn't even see it. I didn't even know it's on. And so, like I said, I'm doing different programs and stuff. And so that's why at the beginning of the video, you saw me putting it up on Facebook, on YouTube, but I also took it and shared it in one of the groups. So, which was pretty cool, man. Had another group I should have shared it in, but I didn't want to keep taking time away from this. And I do know that it'll go, my program I'm doing, it'll do Facebook and Instagram and YouTube all the same. But if I put it up on Facebook, it'll probably hit my Facebook page. Well, you know what? I guess I could probably go to a group, but then some of the other groups would suffer a little bit. So I don't know. I'll get it together. Like I said, it's some new, I'm using different programs from different platforms and for different channels and stuff. But anyway, guys, please like, subscribe, and share. Bear with me. We'll get all this other stuff taken care of. And
ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to.
So anyway, guys, you guys have a fun-filled weekend, and I'll be back Monday with my lives, my regular Monday through Friday lives from 10 p.m. at night. So East Coast time. Make sure you guys tune in. So until next time, peace.